Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? Let's talk about the timestamp and gap code. And so, the reason that the timestamp and gap code works is because each tweet is always going to be, well, let's see, not each tweet, but when two tweets go out, tweet number 1 at 12 o'clock, and then tweet number 2 at 1 o'clock, there's a 1 hour difference. Doesn't matter if you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, United States, Europe. Everybody that looks at President Trump's tweets will see that this tweet, his first tweet of the day, and his second tweet of the day, will always have the same time difference between them. That doesn't matter what time zone he's in. Okay? That way he can even actually travel and go from his home on the on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and go to Europe and still tweet, and we can still have the same time difference in between the two tweets. The timestamps are very important for that particular reason during the Q drops. Now, the reason that it needs to be established is so that the people can still have a message being directly to the public from the President of the United States, just like the Q drops themselves. We don't know who that is, but we know that it's all lining up, right? So it's the same thing. President Trump needs to get to and get a message to the public without people taking over it and putting their own spin on it, putting their own value on it, their own whatever. And at the same time, you have to do the own research yourself and do it yourself so that you're not just still being a sheep, going from MSM sheep, public schools, believing the lies, to then just going straight into believing Q followers and Q channelers and Q decoders and Q coincidenters and Q opinionators and Q haters and Q confusers and Q... You follow me along here? You have to be able to do your own weaving through all this kind of... But that's the same thing with news. It's always been that way. You got your YouTube from before Obama era and Bush era, and then before that, there wasn't so much information. It was people that really know Q and are doing our thing within the Q. We used to go to the libraries, and we used to go to bookstores, and we used to go to and read magazines, and we used to be able to read all the different information that we could go. We used to go to seminars and to the different kind of conventions. And so, we've already put in our research to see all kinds of different things. But now the people that are learning Q for the first time, and the things that are being exposed to them for the first time, it gets so confusing. So what President Trump and the Q team are trying to do, because this is all also being done for the future. Doesn't matter if anybody understands Q or not. President Trump and a lot of white hats are at war on a spiritual level, taking and doing the best that they possibly can against the good and evil. If you read your Bible, you'll realize that I'm not fairy tailing a story here, that this is a good and evil world, and to think that stuff isn't happening is pretty naive. But that's up to you. You can, and I apologize, I shouldn't use the word naive. But now, is President Trump a white hat? It's once again, that's going to be you're going to have to do your own research and try to figure that out. But it is a spiritual warfare that's going on, and it is for your soul, and it is for your mind, so that you can be lost and do silly things. You don't believe me? Just watch TV with an open mind, open eyes. You really want to be buying those products? You really want to be following those type of people? Are those people really that funny? Are you that shallow to think that that's entertainment? So I did. This is like, I already did this video, and I was like, oh, it turned into a rant, and I see that it's going to continue to turn into a rant. So this is the second time trying to just explain the difference of time in between the tweets. So let's go ahead, and we've got your the markers. You got your first tweet of the day. Where's my notebook? Okay. So tomorrow on a blank piece of paper, I'll put up here the date, and then the Pacific Coast time, Mountain, Central, East Coast. Just like here. And I'll write down his first tweet of the day, his second tweet of the day, third tweet, fourth tweet, fifth tweet, and of course, the according hour. So no matter if this is, say, his last tweet here at 6:30 p.m. and his first tweet at 6:44 has a time difference that's the exact same on the East Coast as it is on the West Coast. It can't change. It wouldn't change. It's simple once you finally grasp this. So the time zones don't matter. Time zones don't matter. It's the time in between the tweet. That way the whole world gets the same time difference. So those are called markers. So if we take his last tweet and do the time difference in between it, or the time difference between his last tweet, or his time difference between his first tweet of yesterday, those are markers. Another marker that's a good marker are deleted tweets. Wow, I didn't realize it's been this many days since we've had a deleted tweet. Look at that. It's been the April 12th since we've had 2 deleted tweets. Those are excellent markers, ghost timestamps. So we would use the time difference between, let's just pretend today was today and this is yesterday. We would use this tweet here and the time in between the deleted tweet. Find the time difference. So it's a 6:09 p.m. and 6:30 would be 24 hours and 21 minutes, correct? So we would go to Q drop 24:21. And that's just the simplest way of explaining how that would be done, of the timestamp and gap code. Everybody in the entire world, from Japan to Australia to Canada to the Queen of England to lonely old me on the Pacific West Coast, all see the exact same time difference between the 2 tweets. And then we could go and look and see what President Trump is trying to show us with what's happening. As we know, a lot of the Q drops don't make sense until the future when certain news events happen. I mean, it's just absolutely mind-boggling, isn't it? How even what's so multi-layered about it and crazy about it is that even a Q drop that makes sense today, 6 months or a year later, will make even more sense because of what the news was and is happening, especially with this coronavirus. Oh my gosh, how many different Q drops explain that through the medicine, hydrocodoes, but anyways, so I don't know if this will help much right now, but remember, we're just documented. Hold on, keep your mind strong, because it's a fight.